It was a warm and sunny afternoon in a quiet town. The sky was blue, the grass was green, and children were playing outside. One little girl named Emma was walking through the park. She wore a pink dress and had a flower in her hair. Her smile was bright, and she laughed as she walked beside her best friend, a big German shepherd named Max. Emma and Max went everywhere together. Max was not just any dog. He had been trained as a police K-9, but now he lived with Emma and her family because he had retired from his job. Even though he was retired, Max still remembered all his training. He was loyal, smart, and very protective of Emma. She loved him more than anything in the world. As they walked near the trees, Emma saw a group of men riding motorcycles. They were loud and fast, and their jackets had patches that looked scary. These men were part of a biker gang that had recently come to town. Most people stayed away from them because they caused trouble. They'd been seen yelling at people, stealing from shops, and riding dangerously through the streets. Emma didn't know who they were. She was just a little girl walking with her dog, enjoying the day. Max, however, sensed something wasn't right. His ears stood up, and he began to growl very softly. The bikers saw Emma and slowed down their bikes. 3 of them stopped near her and got off their motorcycles. One of them, a man with a thick beard and dark glasses, looked down at Emma and gave a creepy smile. Another one laughed and said something mean. Emma didn't understand what they wanted, but she started to feel scared. Max stood in front of her, his body straight and strong. He didn't bark, but he stared at the bikers with sharp eyes. The biggest biker stepped closer and said, "What a pretty little girl. Are you lost?" His voice was fake sweet, and Max knew it was not safe. Emma held on to Max's collar. She didn't speak because her mom had told her not to talk to strangers, especially if they seemed bad. The bikers didn't like being ignored. One of them reached out as if to grab her arm. That was when Max growled loud and deep, his teeth showing. He didn't bite, not yet, but he was ready. The bikers laughed again, not realizing what kind of dog Max was. They thought he was just a pet. But Max was trained to protect and defend. Every move he made was part of what he had learned in years of service. He stayed calm but alert, waiting for the right moment. In the distance, someone saw what was happening and called the police. But Emma and Max were still alone in that moment. The bikers didn't know they were making a big mistake. They had no idea that Max wasn't just a dog. He was a trained K-9 who would do anything to keep his girls safe. And if they made one wrong move, they were going to find out just how dangerous he could be. The big biker stepped closer, now looking annoyed. He didn't like being growled at by a dog. "Stupid mutt," he said, and kicked dirt in Max's direction. Max didn't move. His eyes stayed locked on the man, watching every step, every twitch. Emma could feel Max's muscles tighten under her small hand. She whispered, "It's okay, Max," even though she was scared herself. The second biker, a skinny man with long hair, took out something shiny from his pocket. It looked like a knife. He held it up and laughed. "Let's just scare her a little," he said. The other bikers laughed too, but Max didn't. Max knew that sound. He had heard it before, in the streets during his time with the police. He didn't see a group of men. He saw threats. He saw danger. He was trained to act, and he was waiting for the moment. Suddenly, the first biker made a move toward Emma. He grabbed her arm roughly. That was all Max needed to see. With a loud and powerful bark, Max jumped forward, grabbing the man's arm in his teeth and pulling him away from Emma with strength no one expected. The biker screamed and fell to the ground as Max growled and stood over him. The other 2 bikers stepped back, shocked. The one with the knife raised his arm, but Max was faster. He lunged again, biting the man's leg and forcing him down. Emma backed away slowly, her heart racing. She didn't cry, but her eyes were wide and scared. Max wasn't just biting. He was attacking in a controlled way, the way he had been trained. He knew where to hit and when to let go. He knew not to kill, only to stop. The third biker tried to get back on his motorcycle to escape, but Max turned and barked again, warning him not to move. Just then, sirens echoed through the park. Red and blue lights flashed through the trees. Police motorcycles rushed in, surrounding the area. Officers jumped off their bikes and ran to Emma. One of them knelt down, checking if she was okay. She nodded and pointed to Max, who was still holding one of the bikers by the arm, making sure he couldn't move. The officers knew Max. He had been one of their best dogs before he retired. "Good boy, Max," one officer said with a proud smile. Another officer handcuffed the bikers and called for backup. Emma stood next to Max, hugging his neck tightly. He licked her face, making her giggle through her fear. The police talked to her kindly and told her she was very brave. "But Max was a real hero," she said. The officers agreed. They had seen many K9s in their lives, but Max had gone beyond what anyone expected that day. As the bikers were taken away in police cars, people began gathering in the park. They had heard the noise and came to see what had happened. Emma's mom came running, tears in her eyes. She picked up her daughter and hugged her tight. She thanked the officers again and again, but most of all, she thanked Max. Without him, things could have ended very differently. He wasn't just a dog. He was a hero. After the police left with the arrested bikers, Emma and her mom walked home with Max. Everyone in the park watched them go, whispering and pointing, but this time in a good way. People were amazed by what had happened. They couldn't believe that one dog had stopped 3 dangerous men. Some clapped, others smiled, and a few even cheered. Max didn't care about the attention. He was just happy to be walking next to Emma again. He wagged his tail and stayed close to her, checking around to make sure everything was safe. Emma held his leash tightly and smiled up at him. Her mom walked beside them, still shaken by the whole event. She kept looking at Emma, making sure she was okay. At home, Emma's dad had already heard about what happened. The news was spreading fast. A neighbor had taken a video and posted it online. It didn't take long for people to start sharing it. The story was all over social media. The headline read, "Retired K9 dog saves little girl from biker attack." The video showed Max protecting Emma, taking down 2 of the bikers without fear. Everyone who saw it called Max a hero. Some even said he should get a medal. Emma's dad hugged her tightly when she came through the door. "You're safe," he whispered. Then he bent down and hugged Max too. "Thank you, boy. You're amazing." That night, the family had a small celebration for Max. They gave him his favorite treats and let him lie on the couch, even though he usually wasn't allowed. Emma sat beside him and talked to him quietly. "You're the best dog ever," she said. Max rested his head on her lap, his eyes calm and proud. He didn't need a medal. Just being with Emma made him happy. But while they were relaxing at home, something else was happening outside. The video of Max had reached people far beyond their little town. Reporters were calling, and police departments from other cities were asking about the dog. Everyone wanted to know more about Max, the brave German shepherd who had protected a child from a gang. The next day, the mayor called Emma's parents. He wanted to meet them and Max in person. "It's not every day a retired police dog becomes a town hero," he said. They agreed to meet at the town hall. When they arrived, people were already waiting outside. Cameras flashed, reporters asked questions, and children waved at Emma and Max. The mayor gave a speech and told everyone how lucky the town was to have a dog like Max. He gave Max a special medal and declared that day Max the Hero Dog Day. The crowd clapped and cheered as Max stood tall, wagging his tail happily. Emma hugged him again, smiling so big it lit up her face. That evening, as things calmed down again, Emma asked her parents a question. "Can Max be my protector forever?" Her mom smiled and nodded. "As long as he's with us, sweetie, he'll always be your protector." Max barked softly as if to say, "I promise." He lay down beside her bed that night, watching the door like always, ready for anything. Because to him, Emma wasn't just his owner. She was his world, and he would never let anything bad happen to her, not while he was there. As the days went by, life slowly returned to normal in the small town, but things were never quite the same for Emma and Max. People in town now recognized them everywhere they went. When Emma and her parents went to the grocery store or the park, strangers would smile and wave. Kids would run up to pet Max, and parents would thank Emma's family for raising such a special dog. Emma didn't fully understand how big the story had become, but she liked when people called Max a hero. She would always say, "He's not just a hero, he's my best friend." Max, of course, didn't care about the fame. He still did the same things he always did. Watched over Emma, went on walks with her, and made sure nothing ever got too close without his permission. One afternoon, the police department invited Emma, her parents, and Max to visit the station. It wasn't just a thank you visit. They had something special planned. Inside, the chief of police showed them a wall of honor. It was filled with pictures of brave officers and police dogs from over the years. In the middle, there was a new frame with a picture of Max and Emma taken on the day of the incident. The chief said, "We don't usually put retired dogs on this wall, but Max earned his place." Everyone clapped, and Emma beamed with pride. They even gave her a small badge that said Honorary Junior Officer. Max barked once, almost like he was proud too. That night, after the visit to the police station, Emma sat with Max in the backyard. The sky was full of stars, and everything was quiet. She looked up and said, "Max, do you ever miss being a police dog?" Max didn't answer, of course, but he leaned his head on her shoulder, calm and peaceful. Emma smiled and said, "I think you were always meant to be my dog." She wasn't wrong. Max had done important work in the past, but his heart was always with his family now. He had found a new mission, to keep one little girl safe, no matter what. Even months after the biker attack, people still talked about it. Schools invited Emma and Max to visit so students could learn about bravery and safety. The local news station did a follow-up story, and a children's book was written based on what happened, titled The Dog Who Saved the Day. Emma's parents kept a copy on the shelf, and Emma would sometimes read it aloud to Max before bedtime. Every time she reached the part where Max stopped the bad guys, she would pause, look at him, and say, "You're the best part of the story." Max would wag his tail and lick her cheek, just like always. Years later, when Emma grew older, she still remembered that day like it was yesterday. And even when Max got slower and his fur turned gray, he never stopped watching the door at night or walking close to her when they were outside. He may have been retired from the police, but Max never retired from being a hero, not in Emma's eyes. He stayed by her side through everything, as a protector, a friend, and a reminder that sometimes the biggest heroes walk on four legs, wear no capes, and love with all their heart.